Today is Thursday, April 13th. We'll tell you about the latest inflation data that shows rising prices are finally slowing, but by how much? Also, who former President Trump is suing for $500 million, and what happened to the second Tennessee lawmaker expelled from the state legislature? We've got an update. Plus, record heat in the Northeast, new vaccines for cancer, and what problems Pinterest is facing that has it quickly adding new features. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Americans are finally getting some relief from rising prices. New data shows inflation cooled last month to its lowest level in nearly 2 years. Many economists see that as evidence the Federal Reserve's campaign to raise interest rates and cool the economy is starting to work. The Consumer Price Index, that measures what we pay for goods and services, climbed 5% in the year through March. That's the slowest pace of price increases since May of 2021. And the price of groceries actually dropped 0.3%, marking the first drop in that index since September of 2020. But core inflation, that does not include food and gas prices, is still high, like up 5.6% from last year, which is a far cry from the goal of 2%, though much better than the 9% inflation we saw last summer. So overall, there are some mixed messages. And Fed officials are now trying to gauge whether they need to do more. The central bank will announce its next policy decision in 3 weeks. Former President Trump is now suing his former lawyer, who for many years was known as his fixer. This week, Trump sued Michael Cohen for more than $500 million in damages. The lawsuit says Cohen violated his attorney-client relationship with Trump by revealing confidential information and, quote, spreading falsehoods in books and podcasts. Cohen is considered a key witness in Trump's upcoming criminal trial in New York. He has said Trump directed him to pay off an adult film actress to keep her quiet about an affair she says she had with the former president. Then Trump is accused of covering up that payment and more by falsifying his business records, which is why he's being charged with dozens of crimes. Though Fox News cites a source close to the Trump legal team who says the lawsuit against Cohen has nothing to do with the criminal case. Cohen's lawyer says he doubts that and is calling Trump's new lawsuit frivolous. Trump's next hearing in the New York criminal case is set for December, but he is appearing in a deposition today in a separate civil case over his business dealings in New York. To be continued. The second Tennessee Democrat who got expelled from the state house over a gun control protest just got his job back. Remember, it's up to county and city level officials to pick who replaces lawmakers once they're expelled, at least until a special election can be held. State Rep Justin Jones was reappointed earlier this week. Then last night, officials from Justin Pearson's district sent him back to the state capitol too. Local officials say they had received thousands of emails and calls from around the world pleading with them to reappoint Pearson. And the officials apparently listened, voting for him to be reinstated, at least for now. There will be special elections later this year, but both Jones and Pearson have promised to run for their seats again. They've already raised thousands of campaign dollars in the span of a few days. Though some of their Republican colleagues say the Dems are not actually interested in change, just in the spotlight. To be continued. This may be the largest death of cattle in the country ever. 18,000 cows died in an explosion and fire at a Texas dairy farm, and one woman who was working there was critically hurt. Fire quickly spread through the holding pens where the thousands of dairy cows were crowded together, and about 90% of the farm's herd died. Each cow was valued at roughly $2,000. One local official says the explosion may have been caused by a piece of equipment that malfunctioned. But fire officials are still looking for an exact cause, while the Animal Welfare Institute encourages other farms to step up their fire safety measures. Today, the northeastern U.S. could be in for some record-breaking heat. We're talking temperatures nearly 30 degrees above normal for the middle of April. This same heat wave has actually been moving across the country all week. When it was on the West Coast, Phoenix and Tucson, Arizona hit 99 degrees. In the Dakotas, temperatures topped 90 degrees right next to areas that still have snow on the ground. Then yesterday, the heat made it to the middle of the country. And for the first time this year, Chicago, Detroit, and Milwaukee cracked the 80s. Now it's in the Northeast, where Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City are expected to see temps in the upper 80s today and tomorrow. More news is still coming up, but first, here's a word from our sponsor. I always love telling you about Rothy's, but this month is Earth Month, so it feels especially timely because everything at Rothy's is sustainably made with their signature thread repurposed from single-use plastic bottles. So yes, I do other little things to be more sustainable in my life, like only drinking water from reusable bottles and dressing my toddler in almost all hand-me-downs. I mean, the water is just as good and the clothes just as cute. Well, with Rothy's, it's not just as good. Everything actually seems better. Rothy's shoes are durable, chic, and comfortable on top of being so sustainable. I wear my Rothy's shoes right out of the box with 0 blisters, and they are the most comfortable flats I've ever owned. And it's not just the shoes that are sustainable and stylish either. The best-selling lightweight tote is made with about 618 grams of ocean-bound marine plastic. Re-energize your spring looks with Rothy's vibrant shoes and bags without sacrificing style, comfort, or the planet. For stylish and sustainable shoes, shop Rothy's, and you can get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/newsworthy. That's ROTHYS, rothys.com/newsworthy. This could be a golden age for new vaccines. At least that's what vaccine maker Moderna says. The company's chief medical officer credits advancements in the mRNA technology that was used to create the top COVID-19 vaccines on the market. The CMO says that same technology is now being used to develop shots for serious conditions like cancer and heart disease. And so far, they show a lot of promise. Reports explain that a cancer vaccine would alert the immune system to a cancer that's already growing in someone's body so it can attack and destroy it without destroying healthy cells, the way many treatments now do. Moderna says they'll be highly effective, saving hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives. And the CMO is confident they'll be ready by the end of this decade. Then a couple of years after that, the executive says mRNA will be able to tackle rare diseases that don't have treatments available yet. Vaping company Juul Labs has now reached its largest settlement to date over accusations it marketed its e-cigarettes to underage teenagers. It agreed to pay $462 million to settle claims by 6 states and Washington, D.C. This means Juul has now settled in suits with 45 states for more than $1 billion. Also, as part of this latest deal, Juul will have some limits on sales and marketing. For example, Juul won't be able to use people under 35 in its marketing materials that target young people. It will also have to secure its products behind retail store counters like regular cigarettes and verify the age of those who buy them and more. Juul did not have to admit wrongdoing, but it was on board with the deal, saying it brings the company closer to being totally past its legal challenges. And it says underage use of its products has gone down by 95% since it dropped all American advertising and discontinued most flavors back in 2019. Pinterest rolled out new safety measures in response to a recent disturbing investigation. NBC News found pedophiles were using the online service to curate image boards of young girls, and the site was apparently making it easy to do so by recommending similar content to what the predators initially looked for. Now, since that investigation came out, Pinterest says it swept its platform to deactivate thousands of accounts. Plus, it increased the number of human content moderators on its team and added new features that let other users report certain content and accounts. And soon, even more safety features are coming. Like by the end of this month, Pinterest says there will be an age verification process that includes sending a government ID or a birth certificate. And it will soon offer more parental controls for kids under 18. Taking these steps is typically up to individual companies like Pinterest, but now a couple of states have also crafted their own laws around social media. First, it was Utah. Then this week, Arkansas followed up with a similar law that actually requires young people get their parents' permission to create a new account. And it says social media companies now have to do age verification checks on all new users starting in September. Several other states are now considering similar measures. HBO Max and Discovery Plus have unveiled their new blended streaming service. Together, they'll just be called Max. Executives have been planning to combine the two services for more than a year now, ever since Discovery Communications and Warner Media merged. And now the new service is officially slated to launch next month. Pricing will be the same as current HBO Max plans, about $10 a month with commercials and $16 a month without. There will also be a new $20 tier that will allow for 4 streams going at the same time, up to 4K resolution, and 100 offline downloads. The new platform will have the same big scripted series from HBO, like Succession and White Lotus, as well as Discovery's unscripted staples, like cooking, home improvement, and survival shows. Plus, there will be some new series, like a DC Comics show, a spin-off of The Big Bang Theory, and a series based on the Harry Potter franchise, just to name a few. Most people who already have HBO Max or Discovery Plus will have it update automatically on next month's launch date. But some people on certain platforms will actually be prompted to make the switch to Max when they get into their apps. Some classic songs, albums, and recordings are getting preserved for future generations. The Library of Congress picked 25 new additions to be inducted into the National Recording Registry. Now, this means they're considered important contributions to American culture and history. They now include Queen Latifah's debut album, All Hail the Queen, making her the first woman rapper to join the ranks. Plus, Daddy Yankee's Gasolina became the first reggaeton selection. Other new inductees are Madonna's Like a Virgin, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, John Lennon's Imagine, and Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. For the first time, millennials who owned homes last year outnumbered millennial renters. It's a big turnaround since millennials have had a tough time economically speaking. The generation includes everyone born between 1981 and 1996. The oldest of the group faced the housing crisis and Great Recession about 15 years ago, and the youngest graduated from college right into a pandemic. Plus, college tuition costs have increased more than 1,300% since the 70s, and housing costs have outpaced inflation. Because of all that, most millennials have been renters until now. But a new study by the apartment search website Rent Cafe says nearly 52% of the generation were homeowners last year. And that means millennial homeownership has gone up 64% in the last 5 years. And there are signs it could go up even more. And speaking of the housing market, that's the focus of our special edition episode coming out this weekend. I spoke with the chief economist at Redfin, who does a great job of breaking down the latest data and offers some tips about the right time to buy and evaluating your local market. That's coming up in this Saturday's episode. Thank you so much for joining us and listening today. Be sure to follow or subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts so you can find new episodes and stay informed with the newsworthy easily. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.